Good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 37 of Bum Talk COVID edition. I am the host of Charismatic J Bums, along with my brother, the phenomenal one,
Danny Bums.
the co-host, the phenomenal one, right there, his shirt, right there, AJ style. We'll talk about in his match at WrestleMania. I'm J Bums. This is Danny Bums. Welcome to episode 37, COVID edition episode. We'll
talk a little bit away from the mic.
Talk about COVID Mania 36. The tagline was too big for one night. So, due to the pandemic and everything going on in the world, WWE decided the best thing to do is to have it on occasion for 2 nights. You'll see right there. Weekend package, yeah. There you go. Basically,
yeah. Look at that, the weekend package.
Two for one special. So. With everything going around, I guess the head honcho and WWE thought the best thing was to do 2 nights. And obviously everything was pre-recorded last week, so so it was too big for one night. Let's dive right into day one, Saturday night. We're not gonna talk about every match, so it'll be way too long. Just a couple matches that I saw that I thought were worth talking for a little bit, and we'll break it down. Then we'll ask for Danny Bum's opinion. For day one, I thought one of the matches that stood out a lot, besides the main events, was Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler, former NXT champion for 2 years, longest reigning champion, against Becky Lynch. I was surprised. I thought Shayna would have won because Becky was champion for a year already, a year anniversary.
I'm not. Didn't Vince not like Shayna?
Yeah. So that was the whole mess going on to the story. So the whole mess is that she was protected at NXT. She never really had like a lot of competition. She was champion for so long, and then she was apparently first favorite to win Royal Rumble. Obviously that didn't happen, and then she won her match at February for the chamber match. But yeah, Vince was never really big on her. So yeah, because at the end of the day, Vince thought, you know what? Yeah, we gave you a chance, but you're not gonna win.
Yeah, nah, I want.
I'm not big on Shayna. I never was.
Yeah, I'm a big Becky fan.
I think everyone is.
Yeah.
And I think she's the first. I forget the first woman or the first wrestler to hold the same belt in a year. Like she won the Raw Championship last WrestleMania, and
now she's had it for a year.
Exactly, for 1 year. And the man gimmick still works, I think, for her. I mean, we mentioned this a couple of times. This is the all-time top for the women's division, and just in general, and all 3 brands. It's been a rival Becky Lynch, and we'll see what happens. Shayna, back to the drawing board. You've always said in WWE, it's so easy to get lost in the shuffle. It really is. It's like literally the next man or woman up in WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that for me, I was a little shocked, but then Vince wasn't really big on her. It was more Triple H was big on her. It was always stories that she was protected during NXT during her run because there wasn't like real competition for her. But with that said, she's now at the main roster, so we'll see what happens with the man now. We'll see what happens.
I feel like all that's left there is, I think we never really saw her with Ronda.
Yes, like a 1-on-1.
There was I remember that main event was initial. Well, at least that WrestleMania match was initially supposed to be against Becky, and then they added the whole Charlotte thing into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, justifiably so. It's for the winner being crowned champ. But we never actually saw the whole Ronda
come into fruition.
Becky, so I feel like maybe they're saving them, maybe for next year, maybe for SummerSlam, or it's all dependent on when Ronda comes back.
Mm-hmm. And Ronda's in the case.
Obviously, Ronda helped put Becky over, as she did a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
They built a whole pay-per-view around her.
Yep.
Clearly, they didn't do it again because she's not around.
Evolution never camp again.
Clearly, the women did not main event again because she's not around. So.
Yeah, Danny Bones brings a big point. A lot of people are strategic. They're brought in to just elevate the game, whether it be for a few months, a year. In this case, Ronda Rousey was a whole year because she started one WrestleMania and finished WrestleMania, so she left. And then obviously she mentioned a couple of times that she wants to start a family for Travis, and then probably she's still relatively young for a wrestler. She's still in her prime, so maybe might see her in a year or two, depending the landscape of the women's division in WWE. But yeah, Becky won. Congrats for her, and we'll see what the next storyline is for her. I thought it was a good match overall. The next match I want to talk about is, and me personally, I thought part one, what they're gonna call, was much better than part two, but we'll get into part two later. The other one is a rivalry that's been going on since before they came to WWE. Was Kevin Owens, aka Kevin Steen, versus Seth Rollins, aka Tyler Black.
Before WWE, where were they together?
They were at Ring of Honor.
Okay.
They fought each other at Ring of Honor 2010, one of the big pay-per-views.
I feel like when as boring as as boring as Seth, but I don't. I've always have mixed feelings for Seth, but I feel like the story. I feel like their best storyline was when Kevin was champion back in 2016 or maybe late 2016.
Yes.
And he just had all these opportunities and he would just blow it because Chris Jericho.
Yes.
That was their best storyline.
I remember that. Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. It was great. I like the idea that they were going to come back together and do another storyline, but it's just not the same, especially since the roles have changed.
Yes.
Now that Kevin is the
face,
quote unquote face,
yes,
and then Seth is the heel.
So good point. So when it happened 4 years ago, it was the opposite. When Kevin Owens was a champion, he was a heel. It was
a pretty entertaining match. I'm not gonna lie.
He had his moment in WrestleMania. Remember, he jumped off the logo.
Yeah, no, but this match was pretty entertaining. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he jumped off the logo.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then he mentioned in an interview that had this happen at the stadium, he wanted to do it off the sign in the stadium. So obviously it's more intensified, more dramatic.
Ridiculous.
But he had his moment there. That was probably the biggest wrestling moment in WrestleMania for this year, where he jumped off from the sign and hit the elbow on Seth Rollins. But what a match, right? Because he DQ'd himself, remember?
Yeah.
He grabbed a little ring.
Somehow he was fine with him losing because Kevin's music is playing because he won. But he played
into it. You know what? You won.
It's weird. It's like, and usually in those situations, like, there's a GM that comes out and like changes it, but then all of a sudden they're the ones that make the rules.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's weird.
It's justified win, I guess, because he goes, yeah, you gave it to me, but I didn't really win. You just gave it to me. And then obviously you saw Seth walking back, and then he grabs the mic. He's like, "No, you come back here."
I wonder how many of these outcomes change because of the whole crowd,
no pop reaction.
Crowd,
yeah. You're absolutely correct. The outcomes, the reactions, like you said, last minute scrambles. We'll get to Roman Reigns in a few minutes. That's definitely a big component of WrestleMania in general. But that was a fun match. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens is probably my favorite match. As far as a wrestling match, was probably my favorite one from both nights. But kudos to Kevin Owens. He had a promo last night, again attacking Seth Rollins. So we'll see how long this leads out, because these guys have been wrestling together since Ring of Honor. So they know each other through thick and thin, whether they're Kevin Steen or Tyler Black or whatever their names are. But these guys, they're good chemistry. Kevin Owens, we always said Kevin Owens for being a big guy is very athletic.
Yeah.
Pinball, stunner, whatever you want to call it, very athletic guy. But props to Kevin Owens. I believe this is Kevin Owens' first WrestleMania win, because he's lost every other match in WrestleMania. Cool. I think that's it. But let's get on to the co-main event and main event of day one, which is another storyline that you mentioned that got changed. Was the original plans for the Universal title was Bill Goldberg versus the big dog, Roman Reigns. And the background behind them is that both the special moves is a spear, and they both play football over at Georgia Tech. So there's that storyline. So when Goldberg spoke a few weeks ago,
it wasn't a bad idea.
No, it's cool.
I wonder who would have won. Probably Roman.
And obviously a few weeks ago at SmackDown, post Super Showdown when he beat the Fiend, the same as who's next, and obviously the big dog came out. So you all knew, okay, this is the match for WrestleMania. Spear versus spear. Former both Georgia Tech football guys, so it's a good storyline. And then obviously with this whole pandemic, Roman Reigns decided to pull out, because of his history with leukemia and a lower weak immune system. So he pulled out of the fight, and that's one of the biggest storylines heading to WrestleMania. And WWE didn't release the match, the fighter opponent till the day of, which is Braun Strowman,
right?
Which everyone knew already who it was.
Right, it just goes to show, I guess Vince is, really big. I mean, I guess, I don't know if big is the right word, but it's just this guy, I guess. All right, I mean, I was happy for him because he finally got a belt.
Yeah.
And, a world title.
A world title.
And he's been being pushed for the past 3 years, so.
Yeah, you mentioned it the other day.
Granted, it wasn't on Vince's terms, WWE's, but whatever. I was happy in that aspect, but I would have loved to have seen, a Matt Riddle or a Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about
Jeff Hardy would have been great because it would have been
he was just coming back from his
well, not just that. It just would have been great. I guess, a good rewarding for Jeff, like for not leaving with your brother.
Okay.
Or telling, hey, look what I did with your brother after you left me. I don't know, something like that.
That makes sense.
Or just been crazy. I would love to see Jeff Hardy versus
that makes absolute sense.
Two
legends.
Riddle, even Matt Riddle, and even Matt Riddle lost. I would have been that would have been nah.
What's the problem? Matt Riddle would have probably lost and not be a champion.
Yeah,
that's
course,
what makes sense.
That would have made sense. That'd
yeah.
be great.
So I guess it made more sense. Jeff Hardy. Yeah, I guess Jeff Hardy.
That match.
Jeff Hardy, I guess, didn't make more sense. And then so I'm not sure if you read. So Braun Strowman, he spoke in an interview that before this whole pandemic blew over, he had no WrestleMania plans. He wasn't on WrestleMania, so he had mentioned that he lives in Florida, but his family lives in Wisconsin. So he was driving up to Wisconsin 20 hours. He said he's about an hour away to get home when he got a call from WWE. Hey, plans changed. We need you back. So they got him a jet and he flew back to Orlando.
Correct.
Yeah, they called him. Hey, listen, plans changed. We need you to come back. And then he said he got into Wisconsin, I think, for a few hours. Then he flew back to Orlando, and obviously it got filmed. I guess the next day of. But yeah, that's what happens. And then it came out today that Vince. Respected. Vince wasn't happy, but he understands. It's
of course,
the big dog self. Yeah, it's the face of the company for the next couple of years. But he understood what happens, and like you said, in this world, it's the next man up. If you can't make it, then all right, number 2's up or number 3 or whatever the case is. But it is what it is, and typical Goldberg matches. When you're older, a couple specials here and there. You saw the spears, you saw the running pile drive that Braun Strowman does, and like you said, kudos to Braun Strowman for champion. And we'll see what happens here now going forward, and then whenever Roman comes back. That's the other question. When does Roman come back? That's who knows after this pandemic ends. But we'll see what happens. But congrats to Braun Strowman. Maybe a big dog versus a monster in a couple months. But we'll see what happens. And to recap, day one, the main event of part one, which to me was awesome, was the Boneyard match between.
It was cool.
The Phenomenal One.
Yeah.
Against the Dead Man.
Undertaker. I mean, my first thoughts. I'm happy for AJ. Like he deserves to get these big type of fights.
Of course.
I'm trying to go through all his 16 was Chris Jericho.
Lost.
17 was Shane McMahon, which was phenomenal. 18 was Nakamura. 19 I think was Randy Orton.
Yes. 19,
and then this year was Undertaker. Like he can't complain.
So he's had high quality matches.
Yeah.
Off the bat. From the beginning.
I was happy for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a cool match. I like that there was a lot of dialogue. I like that you can hear them actually. Even like when the next night you can just hear them. It was pretty good. It was cool. I was entertained.
It was something special, and then some backstory. So, Undertaker was upset with that Goldberg match they had last year. It was horrible. Yeah, at that Super Showdown. So he spoke to Kurt Angle, and then Kurt Angle goes like, "Hey, fight AJ," and then look what happened.
Yeah.
And then he came back to the whole, like you said, the American badass persona with the bike and everything, and the Metallica song in the back. But I thought it was good. Like you said, the dialogue was real. They were cursing, like saying you're a bitch and all that stuff. But how about the beginning? We got played with AJ Styles, and it came out in the car.
Oh, that was good.
It was funny. I'm like, why is Undertaker coming out first? Usually it's the opponent, and then obviously they opened the casket. Oh, and it's AJ Styles. But it was cool because then the club was involved. You saw his goons came out and helped him out fight, and then they fought on top of that I guess abandoned shed or warehouse. So it was a cool match. It was produced well. The whole thing to film was 8 hours, from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Not bad,
yeah, because it's you gotta stop and everything.
Day's work.
Yeah, basically what it was. But I think that worked out. I think that worked out. It was really good, and maybe we'll see a little more Taker. I don't know. Taker's still okay, even though he's old, he can still perform.
Yeah,
you saw it. But that's it for day one. Let's move on to Sunday, which a lot of people consider the main event because that is when typical WrestleMania airs on a Sunday night. Again, a couple of matches that we're gonna talk about. We're not gonna go through the whole card of day two, but the opening match, I think you were at home yet, was the NXT Women's Champion Rhea Ripley versus
Charlotte.
The GOAT Hall of Fame, probably a future Hall of Famer, is Charlotte for the NXT Women's Champion. The first time NXT belt is being defended on WrestleMania was the big storyline coming into this.
Yeah.
And I was surprised with the outcome, but then when I thought about it, it's not surprising.
When did NXT have their big show?
They didn't have it because with WrestleMania not going on. It was supposed to be obviously Saturday night.
What, they can do it this Saturday or last Saturday?
It's honestly up to the air. They haven't decided.
Probably do it tomorrow. have a bunch of championship matches. It only makes sense.
Tomorrow's the Gargano obviously and this guy match.
Yeah, so I assume it's tomorrow.
So we'll see what happens. They might have some, I think they have some matches, but obviously Charlotte won. I wasn't upset with that, but then when you think about matches and producers and the way they want outcomes, it kind of makes sense. NXT, as big as it is in live, there's no big superstar there that you can know. So now that Charlotte is down there, she can compete with AEW. So it's basically a strategic move.
Yeah, and also to put the title on. Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah. That's ratings, too.
Of course. So hopefully it'll help. But, I mean, AEW seems to be killing them in ratings.
Every week. Except that one week where I think there were... AEW didn't air, or I forgot what it was, but there was one week that NXT just won.
Right.
Back in December, I think it was.
Who's counting?
No, well, the fans are, obviously, especially the hardcore AEW fans. But it kind of makes sense Charlotte won. At first, I was like, why did she win? But you know what? There's a war going on. Maybe not directly, like 20 years ago, but there's a war going on. So you want a big face on NXT every Wednesday where you can draw more attention, more followers. Because there isn't a big draw like Charlotte in NXT, I think, so far. Finn Balor is big, but he's on every week, though. He's on he's sporadic. He's on every 2-3 weeks just because I don't know why. Just the way his contract has worked out or his storyline. But Charlotte won. I think she deserves it. She's definitely a GOAT. She's a headliner, main eventer.
Look at that. Yeah, congrats. Yay.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
No, I mean we don't really watch NXT. When we do, it's probably a takeover. To be honest, we don't watch them. But yeah, we'll see how this goes on with the ratings, obviously. So we'll see what happens tomorrow and the following Wednesdays. The other couple of matches we want to talk about is obviously the return of the Rated R Edge after a 9-year hiatus due to some neck complications.
That was great.
He came back obviously the Rumble.
Great to see him. I thought the match was
because we grew up watching him. Yeah. Do you remember Edge and Christian before Edge and Christian? You know what it was? He was part of that Vampire Squad.
Yeah, I remember with Undertaker, I think.
I forget who.
No, I don't think it was Undertaker.
No, it was some other vampire gimmick wrestler. I forget. I think Vanguard was his name. Something like that. Vanguard or something like that. So that's when we knew Edge and Christian. Then they became Edge and Christian. Then obviously they split ways, and obviously Edge had a very successful solo career and champion. So forward fast to 9 years later, we're here. He came back. There was a couple of episodes where they feud over Randy Orton, saying, why you're back and everything. And then you saw the moments, the chair shots to the head and everything.
Right.
Randy Orton RKO'd, obviously, Beth Phoenix and all that stuff. And it led to this night on Sunday for a last man standing match that, in my opinion, went way too long. It was 36 minutes.
Theirs?
36 minutes. Yeah. That was way too long. You would have shaved off 10 minutes, 25 minutes. I can respect that.
Yeah, I was in and out of it.
It was way too. It was way. Yeah, Edge won. He. It was a main move. He submitted him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's his plan going forward? Is he gonna?
So as I mentioned, any bumps today. So back in August, a company, obviously AEW, no one wants to say who the company is. AEW reached out to Edge about coming back, and that's when Edge was trying to figure out Dr. Tay can I come back, and apparently he by August he knew he can come back, but I think Edge did the right thing. He went back home, spoke to Vince, and he didn't want to go back to the bidding war. Vince gave him an offer. Here's your offer, and that's it. And he took it. And like I said, it's a part-time schedule, and it's $3 million a year. So, yeah, Edge is making a lot of money now, and obviously merchandise deals and all that stuff, and interviews. But yeah, so he knew he was clear back in August because AEW first reached out to him. And then obviously he spoke to Vince, which I think is the right thing to do. You go back to where you're home. Don't make it a negotiation. They offered me $5. How much are you gonna give me? $7? No. He goes, listen, they made me an offer. Okay, $3 million. Here you go. So we'll see what happens. He did mention in the promo that he's 47, but he's in his best shape of his life. Could be true. You're way that long. You're working out. I guess you're home, all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I wasn't surprised that Edge won. Being away 9 years, almost a decade. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, with this whole obviously pandemic, maybe it's that and he's a part-timer, so he may come back later.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then the next two matches, and we saw the match twice, was the Firefly Funhouse match.
That was amazing.
It wasn't technically a match. It wasn't a match.
Well, maybe like the last couple minutes. But yeah. It was great. It was great, man.
But
tell you, Bray Wyatt, he's awesome.
He is.
He's so good at this. And it's a little messed up because he's probably the only person that Vince gives creative freedom to.
Yes, he does. One of the few characters.
It pays off because it's special.
I
would never leave. If you're Bray Wyatt, you can never leave WWE only because you're getting what you want and you're getting paid really well.
And he's also a third generation wrestler. His grandfather fought, his father fought, and obviously, so he's like The Rock. He's a third. So obviously, when you're born into this business, you have that chance to succeed or be part of the WWE family. But I loved it, and a lot of people saw the psychology behind it because it's all a John Cena fear. John Cena had a bad bodybuilding career, had a horrible rap game career. You saw they made fun of everything. They made fun of his prototype outfit. When he had the shorts.
Yeah.
So they all played on it. Bray Wyatt played on all John Cena's like insecurity and fears, and still John Cena still got it done. And then Bray Wyatt was correct. He's like, you said you would never leave, but look, he's a part-time Hollywood star now. So we'll see what happens. And you saw how he finished, right? He got pinned and disappeared. So maybe that's an illusion that he's not gonna come back. But kudos to Bray Wyatt. I don't know if you recall. Remember Bray Wyatt hit me with the chair.
Yeah, in the famous match.
Yeah, in a famous match, and never did. And then he has opportunity, and when he did, he disappeared.
Yeah, it was great. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It was, but it was, from our artistic point of view, it was great. I love the old school when they were back behind the cage, pumping iron. Yeah, that was so funny. Like my tag team partner, John Cena. But it was great. Bray Wyatt, obviously, like you mentioned, he may not be known a lot. He's had belts before, but obviously it's not about that for him. For him, it's about being creative, being unique. Telling a story. And that's what it is. Because, look, The Fiend, when he beat Seth Rollins turned heel. So that's like a psychological thing. When he beat Daniel Bryan went back to the yes man. So it's all these, it's just the way. It's a way that he works. For him, it's an art. It's more than wrestling. And Bray Wyatt, like you mentioned, one of the best to hold the mic and great performer.
Yeah, hands
down. And now to the main event of WrestleMania, the big one from back from January when it was announced. 2020 Men's Royal Rumble winner Drew McIntyre against the reigning, defending, undisputed
heavyweight champion
of the world.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, 3-time Universal Champion, or 4-time. I think 4-time. A lot of times. He's the most reigning Universal Champion. He is. And I think everyone knew the outcome. Everyone knew from the beginning. Drew's gonna win. It's his time. He was deemed the chosen one from Vince McMahon back in 2007.
Yeah, he loved him.
Yeah, he was big on him. That video
that he cut him and everything, and he brought him back. That's great.
And the whole, it sounds corny, but the whole redemption, like you said, he got cut, went to the Indies, then went to Evolve, which Evolve was like a minor league system. Then went to NXT.
I remember when he got back. from NXT.
Yeah, that was Takeover Brooklyn 2017 when he won the belt. And then remember Adam Cole came out.
Yeah.
That was Adam Cole.
That's phenomenal.
That is AJ Styles. But yeah, no one was surprised with the outcome. Typical Brock Lesnar matches. 4-5 minutes, just suplex, F5s, Claymores. It was all those three moves. It was Claymores, F5s, and Suplex City. But not surprised with that. He deserves it. He says it. He's a chosen one, and he came back for his glory. And now he's champion.
And I'm sure. Yeah, and I'm sure Brock is fine with that.
Of course. Because Brock is selective of who he wants to fight too.
Yeah.
He's not gonna fight, like Mojo Rawley or Gronk. Maybe Gronk when he says, but he's not gonna fight a Mojo Rawley or R-Truth. He's very selective of who he wants to wrestle with.
Yeah. So that was great.
So that was pretty good, and and then obviously I think we'll see what happens because WrestleMania wrestling is being recorded now, so we're not sure where the storyline's gonna lead to. So we'll see what happens. He had his wrestling moment, but not his WrestleMania, not because you didn't hear the fans screaming and everything. So I think they're gonna wait for that at least. Once you get back into stadiums, which can be,
I think they're gonna wait off.
August, September. Like a big, big parade ovation, whatever you want to call it. But congrats to Drew McIntyre. Coming back home and everything. So before switching gears, what do you think about WrestleMania being on 2 nights? Not because of COVID, the pandemic, because what do you think about having WrestleMania 2 nights?
Nah, I don't like it. I like it one night.
You do?
Yeah.
How about WrestleMania weekend from Friday to Sunday? You have
that's why. I love
really?
It. That's why I like it. It's an event. It's
a whole weekend, right? You think?
Just feel it. Like last year, granted, it was out here, so we were kind of somewhat part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just great, man. It was just great to be part of that. You just feel the energy.
I mean that's a good point.
WrestleMania week is amazing. It's a lot of fun.
Because you have access that whole week, depending where you're at. Then you have the Hall of Fame show, Saturday a takeover, and then the whole day is WrestleMania basically. From that point, I do see what you mean, because it's a whole, like I said, it's a whole week wherever city they're at. I'm of the idea, because WrestleMania on a Sunday is about 6-7 hours now. From 5, if you the kickoff's at 5 o'clock, it's about 12:30 more or less. That's 7 hours. So I'm for having 2 days of 3 hours. So 7 to 10, 7 to 10. Takeover, NXT is big enough that they can be on any other Saturday. They don't have to be on Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. They don't have to be. And the Hall of Fame show can be moved some other day. But you know, when I think about it, you're right. WrestleMania is a whole week. It's like I said, you feel you're part of it. It's the energy, it's the vibe. It's just WrestleMania tradition. So I do see where you're coming from. But this is one for the books, for the ages. You know, I mean, I guess one day we'll tell our kids, hey, you know, WrestleMania was on for 2 nights, and it was all pre-taped. It wasn't live.
Yeah.
But you know, it was Vince's idea, and in the words of Dana White did say, going to see, you know, it's gonna have to be leaders during this time, because people don't want to stay home. People want action. They want to see stuff. You know.
So in that sense, I give props to WWE for pushing that. Still giving us, you know, entertainment.
Of course.
We're all quarantined.
And Tony Khan.
And also AEW and also UFC. You know, I'm sure they're all gonna get flack for this, but you know, someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
And this I can definitely see this pushing other commissioners and sports
to get the ball rolling, at least,
hopefully,
right?
To get things back into motion.
And then we just saw the interview with Bret Okamoto and Dana White about a couple hours ago, where he mentioned the same thing. He goes, the only one doing this is Vince McMahon and him. And leading to that, obviously, they announced last night officially that UFC 249 will go on next Saturday in about 11-12 days in an undisclosed island, which I think they're supposed to reveal today or tomorrow, I guess, depending on the contract. And then Dana White to say that this is going to be the plan for at least 2 months, I think. Some kind of lease, like a lease or contract, whatever you want to call it.
So yeah, and then it's going to be Gaethje versus Ferguson for the interim lightweight championship, and it's going to be a good match. I still favor Tony only because it's on a short notice for Justin, but yeah. We'll see what happens.
I do agree. Especially Tony has had more five round fights, more championship bouts, so he has that under his belt. Obviously, he last fought last August. Yeah, last August, about a year. Gaethje fought about December, so about the same time. But like I said, Gaethje maybe hasn't been training condition. Maybe he has a condition, but not the training. So we'll see what happens. He did mention today he's about 13 pounds off, more or less. So he's about 12 days to cut down to that weight, which he said will be no problem. So we'll see what happens. But I do agree with you. I think Tony obviously is the favorite man here, obviously, with his style. You know, the unorthodox. And Gaethje's also, he's not really unorthodox, but Gaethje's very wild. He is. You know, he's like a swing and a miss guy. He just likes to, you know, go fight. But I think it's gonna be a good scrap. Let's call it that. It's gonna be a good scrap. And I'm excited for it. You know, we talk about it like, you know, we need live events, we need sports, you know, whether it's basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever it is you like. But, you know, like you mentioned, hopefully this pushes commissioners and, you know, other athletic leagues. And, okay, how can we start, you know, going back to society, you know, obviously with boundaries and doctors and CDC approval and all that stuff. But, yeah, it's a big card, though, because you also have, Ngannou versus, I cannot pronounce that guy's last name. Damn, what's his last name? Crazy last name. We also have Andrade versus Rose Thug. We also have Katia versus Jeremy Stevens. So it is a big fight. Jacare's back. He's fighting, I believe, Uriah Hall, I think, two veterans fighting.
Yeah, it's a pretty good card, especially, you know, we need it in this time, and we'll see what happens.
So I mean, because UFC's off for a month basically. I'm not pessimistic, but unless this thing really gets out of hand and control, I don't see it as being canceled. Unless something happens, like, you know, God forbid. But he did say after that week there's another fight the next Saturday, which I'm sure he'll announce in a couple of days. I did make a joke. I said that the fights will be at the island where the Fighter Fest will be at.
Yeah. The other one is that, like, it's gonna be the whole Mortal Kombat Chong Sung.
That's a good one.
You know, the best fighters in the world are going to fight on this island. They've all been invited.
You think Conor would have considered it, even though Conor stands to this whole pandemic?
It's just, I mean, as much as I love Conor, he's the one that's saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be ready when one of these guys pulls out," and then he's not really ready, or I guess he can't leave as well. I don't know.
I mean, to each their own, right?
Right, but I don't know what happens with Conor now. I think either he'll get the loser of this fight, or either he'll get Nate. That's his only. I feel like his op.
I feel Conor wouldn't fight a loser. I don't want to say like that, but I feel Conor like, why would I want to fight someone that
Probably. I'm pretty sure. Probably not the loser, but then I guess then I don't know.
Could be Nate, like I said. It could be Nate makes probably the best sense.
Because the winner of this is fighting Khabib in September.
Yeah, obviously more or less that time in the fall.
Yeah.
And then obviously Brett said it, and Conor said it from the beginning. I'm looking to fight 3 times this year, like you mentioned, January, June, July, and then probably November, December, the New York card or the Vegas card in December. So obviously, it can still happen though. If Conor fights maybe September or October, maybe if fights September, maybe he can fight December, depending on what happens. Obviously, depending how the pieces get moved accordingly. But yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan said he'll be part of it. I'm not sure because Conor, he was another one. He said he wasn't gonna do any kind of fight. So I'm not sure what happened to Joe Rogan. He said I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna stay here. So I don't know exactly what happened with that. I'm sure we'll find out in a few weeks what happened with that. Obviously Khabib couldn't leave Russia. It's no one's fault. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Is the fight cursed, you think?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's true with the way Dana put it. This fight should have happened already 5 times. So what the hell? If it happens, it happens.
Yeah, and then it's just the fans wanted.
If Tony wins, I guess that means he's fighting Khabib against obviously 5 other times. I've said it's been no. So
the first time I knew about the Khabib Ferguson was 2016. It was a UFC card on Fox. I remember this. It was supposed to be Khabib versus Ferguson. Ferguson pulled out, and that's the first time I saw Khabib fight. It was April 2016.
I don't know if Khabib till like
April 2016.
Till the 205 card.
That's when I knew.
Backstage.
That's when I knew. Yeah, because that was the previous fight. Yeah, so it was April 2016. He was supposed to fight Tony that fight. It was on Fox. So it was free TV. But Ferguson pulled out. Forget for what. And then Khabib fought a nobody basically, and he took him down. Actually, funny story. True. I don't know if I told you. I think it's UFC 185, the one where Jones was supposed to fight Cormier, but it didn't happen because he had the hit and run. Remember, it was Johnson versus Cormier.
Okay.
So on that card, it was supposed to be originally. If you could look it up, it was supposed to be Cerrone versus Khabib. But that's when Khabib had like the crazy knee surgery. So then, that's where I knew about Khabib. But I didn't know he became a star. But that's the first time I knew about Khabib. He was supposed to fight Cerrone 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this May coming up. So that's the first time I knew about Khabib. But that's about it. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully this fight can happen in September.
Yeah.
You think September will be out there in
Yeah, absolutely. The UFC has
a deal, right? Yeah.
So
it's so crazy how the UFC and WWE are kind of parallel, right? They have deals with these countries. They're the only sport that's going on. Now it's not all political and everything, but what Dana said today was kind of political. Like, we need leaders now. Obviously, it's good to stay home, but we need people to get the ball rolling. And obviously, he says the only guys who are doing this is Vincent Kennedy, Ben McMahon, and Dana White.
Yeah.
So obviously, boxing is a different animal. To do boxing, you need any kind of live event. You need fans. You have to, because even though wrestling is wrestling, you still need fans. You need the reaction. You need the commentating and all that stuff. But for the time being, this is what we got, and we gotta this is the hand that's been dealt with us, and we gotta deal with it, and we gotta enjoy it, like you said. Hopefully Dana can make the fight free. I put on his Instagram. I'm like, free fight.
I'm almost likely he'll probably buy that
free
card.
Fight.
I don't think I'm gonna.
But yeah, like I said, not being pessimistic, but bearing anything worse happens to this pandemic gets out of hand. His card should be go on.
Yeah. We'll see.
I bet you Dana is in a ban.
I thought once Khabib was out, I'm like, well, they're not gonna make a card, but I guess they said yeah.
You think Dana's in the ban Ariel Helwani?
Huh?
You think Dana's in the ban Ariel Helwani?
Maybe. Yeah, that was great. That was a great Twitter exchange. I don't know where the hell Ariel got that from. It almost seemed like just it wasn't him that was tweeting that. It was weird.
Yeah. Because obviously they didn't mention it's limited access, so I'm sure just limited media. most of it's probably gonna be ESPN media, obviously, because ESPN covers UFC now. So most like ESPN figures. Definitely no Stephen A. Smith. We know we don't want to see him there anymore.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith.
But yeah.
But stay tuned. Be safe, guys. Stay home as much as you can. Big fights in about 11 days, and then I'm sure Dana White will release the rest of the schedule for the next 2 months soon. Hopefully tonight or tomorrow we'll find out what the island is. And then I'm sure in interviews he'll talk about how he got these deals done with these islands and all that stuff. I'm sure everyone's asking but how'd you get these deals with these islands? Is it a government island? Who owns it? So we'll figure out what happens with this. Any last hot takes? Any last minute rounds? 12 championship rounds.
Looking forward to the pay-per-view.
Yeah. This is what the world needs now. We need some kind of sporting events. Like I said, and then obviously kudos to Dana White and kudos to Vince McMahon for
Absolutely.
giving the fans,
guys.
and Triple H said it too on Halawani's interview last week. Like they kind of felt obligated to put on WrestleMania for us.
Yeah.
Because who wants to be home on a Saturday, Sunday night doing nothing?
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Be safe. Make sure to follow us on Twitter @BumTalk_. Take care, guys. Have a good night.